The Mining Den. It's essentially what happens when you combine Minecraft and The Walking Dead into one basic server, and here are my experiences with it. I start off by spawning in my location. I have no idea where to go, so I enter into the portal. I select where I want to spawn, and I spawn in what looks to be an abandoned motel. I find a chest in the distance and I decide to open it up. It turns out it was actually a slot machine, and I actually received some very interesting items. I equip the items and keep exploring around the motel area. I eventually find out that some people are actually selling weapons, and I find the most useful weapon of all. Of course I buy it. After failing to leave the sanctuary, I eventually find out that you could actually just climb over the fence trying to get up. After looking both ways to make sure no cars were coming by, I eventually jump down and begin my journey across the wasteland. I cross over a bridge and find some tracks and eventually even a road leading off into a highway. I eventually come across an abandoned house and I enter in, pillaging, collecting, and raiding everything I see inside. I come across a med pack that has scissors and a flare inside, but I take none. I leave and politely close all doors behind me, but come across our biggest threat. It was a zombie, but I easily kill it with only one blow. And while I'm at it, I also kill another zombie, but then a giant horde appears. I continue walking on my journey, only to find a weird artifact of sorts, and I kill a few zombies and go. I kill a few more zombies and continue on my way down. Eventually cross upon a bridge, but it starts to become night, and I find a duffel bag in the middle with a sledgehammer and a flashlight. Dandy. I find out how to use the flashlight, and I continue on my very way down, and with more and more walking. Eventually, I come across a village with a house in the distance, so I of course approach the house. Upon entering, I end up hearing, with balls of steel, I enter in and I find a lightsaber inside the sack. No, seriously, it actually looks like a lightsaber. I explore around and eventually find a sack on the ground. Inside that sack contains a few arrows and some other items. I take all and leave through the front door. I eventually go down the street to find the next house, and I politely open both doors and close both of them. I go up the stairs where the employee section is, and I explore around, finding a rifle and another lightsaber. I explore and explore and explore, and eventually I jump off the roof. I eventually explore my last house. Inside I find carrots in a sack and nothing in the refrigerator. I eventually keep exploring, and eventually I go into the bedrooms, where in another sack I somehow find the most manliest weapon of all, the M4 carbine. This rifle right here will go perfectly with the katana. I come to the end of the neighborhood, and eventually I have no idea where to go, so I decide to keep walking. Down the road is a post office, and I enter in, politely also closing the doors. I find nothing much, just more sacks, and eventually I walk away with empty-handed. A few towns pass by while I'm walking, and I eventually find a few zombies. But over in the distance, I find what appears to be a lot of light and power, but it's all barricaded by a giant wall. I hop over a few boxes trying to get a better look inside, and yes indeed, there actually is power. I walk around trying to find a ladder of sorts to get inside. Luckily, I eventually find a ladder and climb it trying to get to the top, and eventually I drop down. I go to the farthest building I see, and eventually I enter through the top. I find out it's actually a classroom filled with lots of briefcases and weapons, and lots of weapons and more weapons, and a lot more weapons in a school. I eventually find out you could actually drink water in this game, but it comes as empty bottles after you drink it. So of course, me being me, I throw the bottles onto the ground trying to kill the turtles, because fuck the turtles. And also I eat in front of the bottle. I leave the building and keep exploring the area. I eventually find that this place is powered by solar panels, and I realize how environmentally friendly that was. I kind of start to regret throwing that bottle on the ground. I eventually come across a cornfield filled with fire lamps and blood all over the place. I eventually explore inside and find a lot more fire pits illuminating the areas. I go upstairs and find a better view of the area. I start to question if the Legion from Fallout actually built this place, but I leave anyway. As I'm about to leave, I find a duffel bag containing a SPAS-12 and a P90. I start to question if this is MW2, and of course I take both of them and run. With this much power in my hands, the skies are endless for my possibilities. Until you realize I have to keep now walking again. And walking. Down the road, I come to what appears to be a recycling plant, where I could possibly maybe find some guns or maybe even a used car. The inside looks like something right out of a Saw film, but as I knew I would find a car and some military vests and grenades, I've come to a butcher shop, ironically, and eventually I decide to leave. There was an explosion in the distance from a car. I wonder if there's any survivors or anything. Nope, no loot. I eventually come across a pair of train tracks and decide to actually follow it. Maybe it could lead me to like a seaport or a train station of sorts. I eventually remember that I actually had a car on me and it would actually speed up traveling if I just used the car, so I plop it down and start driving. Everything was nice. Until we hit a bridge where I had a train that could not let us pass through. Eventually I had to give up on the car, take out its engine and everything and run. I eventually find out that you could actually collect water by bringing a water bottle underwater, and it could actually replenish your thirst, so I really should have not thrown that bottle on the ground. I keep following the trail and end up getting led into the deep woods. This was really not fun for me to navigate through. I somehow was poisoned either by the water or the food I had, and I found out that using bandages actually replenish you from being infected. I eventually come across a van that ironically looks like the van from Breaking Bad, so I wonder if there's meth inside. Nope. No, there was no meth inside. I get onto the highway and okay, what is going on? Oh, okay, now we're good. Okay, good. I get off the road and actually find a gate leading to two houses and a building in the distance. After further inspection, it appears there's actually a carnival in the distance that could be filled with supplies. After looking around, I eventually find something called an elite chest that has pretty much nothing useful inside. I keep looking around and I eventually find a sniper rifle. And just to end this video, I will 360 no-scope a zombie.